Kim wants a teacup holster. So I'm going to make her a teacup holster. I've already sat down, came up with a couple of sketches for patterns. I like paper patterns for most of this because I can actually put it in place and know exactly how everything's going to fit. I like that way better than just, trusting someone else's pattern. I picked up a bunch of these little clasps, right? So we're going to use those as a catch on the top. Probably going to rivet everything. There's going to be a little bit of hand stitching. It'll be interesting. Let me pull you in and show you where we're starting with. This is going to be the base. And the teacup is going to sit on top of it. Probably like this, so it's a little, probably like that, so it's a little exposed. This piece goes on top, and this is going to have two snaps. I'm going to have to extend these arms just a little bit. When everything sews together, it's just a little too short. I mean, I could probably make it work, but if I've got it, I might as well. This is going to go on top. And since I'm using chrome tanned leather, I'm not going to be able to wet form it, so the teacup's going to hold everything in place pretty nice. This is going to go on top and be riveted in place. And then this is going to come up and have the clasps. Like that. So that'll give you a rough idea of what we're doing. We're doing it in green because I have couch green and I kind of like it, and I think it'll be interesting. I want to go for more of a nature-based teacup holster. So first thing I'm going to do is cut out all of these pattern pieces, and then we'll see where we're at from there. So I've run into a problem. I don't know how big of a problem it is yet. It may not be a problem at all. It may be just me overreacting. When everything is put together, the handle rests against the plate. I don't know how I feel about that. I could trim these off completely and just put a separate piece that acts as strap. Cut one up real quick and see how I feel about it. So basically, there would be a piece underneath that rests right there and snaps and holds the plate in place. That's probably what I'm going to have to do. Not a big deal. Easy thing to fix. Just cut these off and move on. Which is fine. We adapt and overcome. Easy enough. Now I'm going to line everything up, make sure everything is exactly where I want it to be. Should probably just use my grid here, as I have a little bit of excess on one side, and I want these to be as close to exact as possible, because it makes the next step way easier. Much better. Everything lines up nice and even. Alright, speaking of the next step, I'm going to put a bunch of holes in this because it has to be sewn together. Unfortunately, it has to be hand sewn together because this isn't going to fit in my sewing machine, but it's easy to do. I'm not fond of these, right? They tend to stick in the leather and it's hard to get everything out, but I think in this situation, it'll be fine. So I'm just going to hit and rotate all the way around. It leaves a pretty good mark. It'll allow me to drill. If I decide to drill, I may just stamp the whole thing and just be done with it. Let me bring you around so you can watch what I'm doing. Now I have a decision to make. Do I drill or stamp? So I tried. I really did. I tried. I couldn't do it. Hand stitching was driving me absolutely crazy. But not too shabby. Put in a snap. Oh, there we go. And that appears to be almost perfect. That's exactly what I wanted it to do. That never works. This goes over. More than likely, I'm also going to glue on a bit of leather strap underneath. Because if I'm using my standard Chicago screws to hold these pieces on, I could have stitched it. I think the metal will look nice, especially with the buckle on top. So I don't like the idea of metal on porcelain, so I'm probably going to glue a piece down there too. First thing I want to do is take all this off. Yes, I keep moving everything over to the side because hitting things with a hammer while there's ceramic lying around is a bad idea. I'm going to grab something, I'll be right back. My roundovers. Figure out what size I want to make everything. I want to just nip the edge a bit. Matter of fact, none of these might even work. They might be a little too sharp because they're half circles. I need a quarter circle. I really need a better way to store these stupid things. So I'm just going to round over the edges just to smooth everything off a little bit. Make it look at least a little more professional. It's a homemade piece of leather. It's never going to look professional. Then I'm going to drill a bunch of holes. 2 per arm? Belt? I don't even know what to call these. I am not going to worry about skiving or beveling these because on couch leather I don't think it makes a big difference. Matter of fact, let's do a real quick experiment. Not like the video isn't long enough as it is. We got a little bit of scrap. Let's see what happens if we bevel the edge. It looks worse than with just the scissors. It's mainly because it's real rough on the underside. Most standard upholstery leather is going to do that. Let's see if we can give it an edge. Did absolutely nothing. Let's try it the other way to make sure I'm not doing it wrong. So chrome tan leather does not take stamping very well, doesn't take edges very well, doesn't take beveling very well. It's just kind of there, right? It's good leather because I love how it feels, I love how it flows, and I love how it works. It just doesn't take to things well. So I'm going to drill a couple of holes now. And I'm making these slightly undersized. I know. But I'm doing it because I don't want them to just pull through. Again, couch leather is more supple than most other leathers. Just doing 1 hole per corner, kind of centering it. So now we have to put everything back together and then mark where these go. And yes, I'm saving the flap for last because I'm not quite sure where I want it to be. I would say if anything this might be a little too big. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to cut the whole thing down right where I cut or drilled these holes. Just going to go straight across and then re-drill them. Because I'd rather have this stretch out just a little bit than have it be too loose and have everything just rattle around a bit. That's the thing about working with with leather in general. Lots of trial and error. I mean, yeah, if you get one of the like the Diesel Punk patterns, they're perfect. They're flawless. You don't have to do any thinking. If you're making stuff on your own, it's a little more complicated, but just a little. And I like the individuality this gives me. Before I get too far, almost perfect. That is exactly what I'm going for. Wow, it never happens. Perfect. Now when I put this over, that's much better. That is exactly where I want it to be. So I'm not terribly worried about leaving marks on the top side of the leather because it's getting covered. But I am worried about drilling through and hitting my teacup. So I'm going to grab a piece of lumber and stick underneath. Luckily I have plenty of scrap. Also, since I stitched the edge, I just stitched this piece on too. Didn't want to have to worry about it. I'm doing these 2 arms at a time because I want to make sure everything's nice and taut. Taut, not taunt. English be annoying. For the guy who's learning Spanish, I like English. Now here's hoping we have 8 of these, right? I've ordered more. They're on the way. But you know, post takes time. Everything takes time. I've gotten up like 7 times now. I keep forgetting things. I need to grab a screwdriver. I'll be right back. Put the next one in. So if you got 2, these aren't quite Chicago screws, but close enough, that are in a single arm, you want to put both of them in before you tighten it down, as it will make what we're about to do so much easier. Because if ever fighting with it after having already tightened one side, just start both of them before you get into it. I'm trying not to talk much, right? Editing Hawk gets so mad at on-screen Hawk. Every time I'm like, alright, we'll skip this part, or speed it up, or do something stupid, then me, the idiot, tends to ramble. Not unlike I'm doing right now. Every time I'm like, oh. And you can't just speed it up and mute the sound, because there's background noise. Always got background noise, right? And when there's a just silence, it's super noticeable. So on these random rants, I just have to completely delete this part. That's okay. 2 in. And put the teacup in, or the saucer in, then the teacup. That looks perfect. I have a feeling I'm going to be unbelievably happy with this. Trying to line everything just a little better. Get my edges where I want them to be. Because up until this point, it hasn't really mattered. But the addition of these 2 arms is going to completely make or break the shape. Drill 4 more holes. Put in 4 more bolts. And this part will be done. We get to move on to the clasp. The clasp is going to be interesting. Long hair is driving me frickin' up the wall. I grew it out for Harlock, right? Well, did Harlock last C2E2. Very happy with how it looked. My eyes were giving me trouble, so I had to wear the patch on the other side. But, you know, that's one of those things that almost nobody will notice except for me. Maybe a couple of few. Couple of few, because words are English. But most people aren't going to notice something as random as that. And now that Harlock is done, I have to sit here and go, well, why do I still have hair then? Why haven't I shaved all this off yet? I don't know yet. I kind of like it. Most of my life I had long hair. Maybe I kind of missed that. I don't know. It just seems weird. Probably should have shaved it off by now. What do you think? Should I cut it all off? Should I let it grow out? Part of me wants to let it grow out. When Kim and I first started dating, I had long hair, right? Down to my belt. It was long. I loved my long hair. The top was black, the color it is now, right? And then they bleached everything underneath. So it was like Malfoy blonde. And I loved it because when it was ponytailed, it just looked like I had dark hair. When I pulled the ponytail out and shook it out, I had this golden mane out of nowhere that looked just gorgeous. I loved long hair. Thought I had grown out, or I had grown past that. The fact that I still have it. C2E2, everybody kept going, you'd make the great best Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm like, yeah, probably, but then I'd have to do the whole costume, right? Because, I don't know. If you're going to be a face character, you should look like the face character, not just have the hair. Right? And I don't think I look enough like Liam Neeson to be Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Probably just going to let it grow out till I don't. But until then, I'm going to fight with it being in my face. I could pull it back. I'm not going to, but I could. Alright. Everything should fit in now. I am super happy with that. So at this point, I'm going to have to trim this flap. So I want that centered. All this is done by eye, right? I'm just guessing. I have no idea. I think with a little gold leaf, this would look so, like, kind of don't want to say it, but it would look very low-key. Green's one of those colors you don't see very often in leather. So I've absolutely loved using this couch for as long as I have. Home stretch. It stopped recording and I didn't catch it. So what I did was I just attached my closure to the front and added a snap and then 2 rivets to hold this in place. That's it. You didn't really miss that much, but you missed enough that I'm a little upset about it. I rambled for a while. Wasn't that bad. Made a couple interesting arguments and points. For some reason, my camera just didn't record. Say, Livy, I'm going to clean everything up and we're going to pull you in. We'll see where we're at. In the end, this is what we've got. It turned out fantastic. Look at this. I'll bring it a little closer. Right? The only thing I don't like is it leans forward a little bit. Again, since it's such a chrome leather, I could put 2 snaps right here on either side. That would fix that. But then I'd have to unsnap it to do the thing, and it might. But everything came out perfect. I'm very happy with it. I may put leather in on the bottom, glue leather at the on the bottom here, but I might not. I don't know yet. I tried to make it a universal size, so if we pull this one out or if it breaks, we can replace it pretty easily. It looks fantastic. I'm super happy with it. Only took a couple hours, and that's mainly because I was just messing around trying to figure it out. For a first attempt, it turned out really good. I'm happy with it. So, we made it to the end. This is the part where I'm supposed to say like and subscribe and all that jazz. But you already know. If you're going to subscribe, you would have already subscribed. If you did, I'd appreciate it. If you didn't, and you do, I would appreciate it. But, you know, if you're just here casually visiting, then just casually visit. I do random crap like this all the time. So if this is your thing, and you're into random making stuffs, you might consider it, because, you know, I do that. See you next week.